Greetings. I'm Kathy Calvin. I'm President and CEO of the United Nations Foundation. I'm here in Washington, D.C. today because the Nothing But Nets champions from 25 states around the country are here to talk to their members of Congress about how critical it is to maintain and increase funding for malaria protection around the world and in fact all of our global health funding through our foreign aid budget. It's a tiny budget, and we know that this is a big difference that Americans can make in their local communities to step up and stand up, but also to make sure their members of Congress do the right thing. So I'm lucky to have with me Mike Gerson, who just talked to the group here. Mike's a former administration expert from the Bush administration, George W. Bush from the years 2006. He was policy planning and speech writing. And Mike was involved when PMI, the President's Malaria Initiative, and PEPFAR, the effort to end AIDS, were both created. So he's seen what it's like when governments step in and do the right things. And we have some choices today, Mike, about how do we think about our foreign aid budget. Is it too big? Is it too small? And how should we be using it? How should Americans think about these topics?
First of all, the facts are essential. Less than 1% of the American budget goes to foreign assistance. It is a very small portion of what we spend, and we get a large result when you look around the world in AIDS relief, in malaria, where tremendous progress has been made. You know, it's a hopeful story, what's happened. I mean, over the last few decades, child mortality has been halved and halved again through vaccines and malaria control. This is a great success story that America has been part of, helping build the hope and health of others. I think you can make a really good case that this is worth what we spend on it, which is not very much.
We sometimes say it's equal to what Americans spend on Valentine's Day every year. Right. That is a tiny, maybe it's a big amount, but it's a tiny sliver of our federal budget. So how do you reconcile for Americans who are worried about things at home, why they should be thinking about progress and humanity around the world?
Well, there are two reasons. One of them is because it matters to America what happens in other countries when things are disorderly, when pandemic diseases break out. It can be of direct consequence to the United States. Things like terrorist groups, things like drug cartels, things like refugee flows, which we're seeing dramatically. These things affect us when we don't intervene early in non-military ways to try to create a better world. These problems take root in hopelessness and in despair. And so by promoting the alternatives, promoting hope and health, we are securing our country. I really believe that. But I also think that our country has a set of values and beliefs rooted in the Declaration of Independence, rooted in our view of universal human rights and dignity. And you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And we do have some responsibility to use just a tiny portion of our wealth to intervene in ways, particularly on malaria, that we know will save children's lives. The people who suffer most from malaria are children under 5 years old. That's where most of the mortality is. So this is a problem that affects children that we know how to solve for a reasonable amount of money, have made huge progress, and we're on the verge of even greater progress. Those are all good arguments to try to focus on this set of issues for people listening.
And it's a bipartisan issue. It started in a Republican administration. It was continued in a Democratic administration. Members on both sides of the aisle can support this because of the issues you just said.
Yeah, I think that one reason it's a bipartisan issue is because these efforts have been rooted in outcomes. You know, these have not just been spending money without knowing what happens. This has been a rigorous effort to reduce malaria incidence through proven methods that has had tremendous results, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, where much of this problem is. So it works. I think we need to say that. It's inexpensive, and it has really been bipartisan. There have been heroes on both sides of the aisle who have stood up and said, this is something America can and should do in the world. And that, I think, has been a kind of refuge or a safe harbor from the bitterness of American politics. It's still possible to do things, and we've done them on this set of issues.
Well, I hope you'll join Mike and me in caring about young people around the world, giving them the opportunity to have the future that we all want in this country. You can follow us at nothingbutnets.net to learn more about the anti-malaria campaign. And please join us in making sure that you speak out and use your voice to make sure America First means America's leadership around the world will make a true difference. Mike Gerson, thank you. In last word.
No, glad to be with you. This is a way for that average Americans, people all over the country, can make a difference in the lives of children around the world, but also in helping in a broader cause of the security and hope of the world. So I think it's a great cause.
Great. Thank you. And thank all of you.